Morrisons is making some major changes, and unfortunately, that means store closures and job losses. Hundreds of employees could be affected as a supermarket giant shuts down cafes, meat counters, and convenience stores across the UK. Let's break it down. Big changes are underway at Morrisons, one of the UK's leading supermarket chains. Facing rising operational costs, Morrisons has announced plans to close several in-store services and locations, putting approximately 365 jobs at risk. Roughly 365 jobs could be lost at Morrisons shops across Britain as cafes and in-store services are to close. The UK-based supermarket chain has announced the closure of 52 cafes, 35 meat counters, 35 fish counters, 13 florists, and 4 pharmacies. Additionally, all 18 Market Kitchen food-to-go sites and 17 convenience stores will shut down. Over the next few months, the company will shutter 52 cafes, all 18 Market Kitchen food-to-go sites, 17 convenience stores, 13 florists, 35 meat counters, 35 fish counters, and 4 pharmacies. Despite these closures, Morrisons emphasizes that the majority of its cafes have a bright future. However, certain locations face specific local challenges, leading to these difficult decisions. These closures impact Morrisons stores nationwide, from Bradford and London to Newcastle and Portsmouth. While the company is trying to redeploy staff, around 365 jobs are at risk. So, why is Morrisons making these cuts? The company cites rising costs and changes in customer habits. While many in-store cafes will remain open, these specific locations weren't performing well enough to stay profitable. The CEO, Rami Baitier, states, "We recognize that these decisions impact our colleagues and customers, and we are committed to supporting those affected while ensuring we focus on services that add the most value." These changes are necessary to address areas where operational costs significantly outweigh usage and customer value. We remain committed to investing in services that our customers truly value. While some staff will be redeployed within the company, others face redundancy. Morrisons is working to support all affected employees during this transition. Some of the cafes slated for closure include locations in Bradford, Paisley, London, Portsmouth, and Newcastle. Convenience stores in areas such as Gorleston, Peebles, Shenfield, and Poole are also affected. As Morrisons navigates these changes, the focus remains on optimizing operations and continuing to serve communities across the UK. The aisles once bustled with shoppers. Families gathered in the cafes, the aroma of freshly baked bread filling the air is now a shadow that has fallen over Morrisons. These words echo through the aisles, replacing the cheerful chatter of shoppers with a disquieting silence. Morrisons, a cornerstone of the British retail landscape, is shutting down cafes and stores across the country. For shoppers, this means fewer fresh food counters and no more Market Kitchen food-to-go services. Some local communities will also see their convenience stores disappear. This news, delivered with a thud that resonated throughout the UK, has left employees reeling and communities in shock. The closures are not just about bricks and mortar. They represent a blow to the heart of communities that rely on these stores. What was once a familiar hub of activity is now a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of the retail industry. The closures are not merely a matter of inconvenience. They signify a much larger issue at play. The economic aftershocks are already being felt, particularly in smaller towns and villages where Morrisons often serves as a lifeline for residents. Job losses, dwindling footfall in local businesses, and a sense of unease about the future have gripped these communities. The closures are a stark illustration of the shifting sands beneath the retail sector and the very real human cost of these transformations. As we delve deeper into this story, we must move beyond the cold statistics and boardroom decisions. We must listen to the voices of those directly affected, the employees who face an uncertain future, and the communities grappling with the fallout. Only then can we fully grasp the magnitude of what is at stake and demand better from corporations entrusted with the livelihoods of so many. The human cost of Morrisons' closures is staggering. Hundreds of employees are facing redundancy, their lives upended by the sudden news. These are not just numbers on a balance sheet. They are real people with families, dreams, and responsibilities. For many, Morrisons was more than just a job. It was a source of stability, a place where they built careers and formed lasting friendships. The announcement of closures has cast a long shadow over the lives of these workers. The uncertainty of finding new employment in a challenging job market weighs heavily on their minds. Many are grappling with anxiety about their financial future, their ability to make ends meet and provide for their loved ones. The emotional toll is undeniable as the rug is pulled out from under those who dedicated years of service to the company. The stories emerging from affected employees paint a poignant picture of the human impact of these closures. Parents worried about how they will put food on the table for their children. Long-serving employees who face the daunting prospect of starting over in a new field. The sense of betrayal and abandonment is palpable as the company, they dedicated themselves to make decisions that prioritize profits over people. These are not isolated incidents. They represent a broader trend in the retail industry where workers often bear the brunt of corporate restructuring and economic downturns. It is imperative that we amplify the voices of these employees, sharing their stories to shed light on the human cost of corporate decisions. Only through empathy and understanding can we begin to address the systemic issues that leave workers vulnerable in the face of such upheavals. The closure of Morrisons cafes and stores sends ripples far beyond the immediate impact on its workforce. The economic fallout is significant, particularly for local communities that relied on these establishments as anchors of commerce and social interaction. The loss of these familiar spaces leaves a void, both economically and socially, that will be difficult to fill. Smaller towns and villages, where Morrisons often serve as a central hub, are likely to feel the effects most acutely. The reduced footfall resulting from the closures will have a knock-on effect on surrounding businesses. Local shops, cafes and pubs that once benefited from the proximity of a bustling Morrisons may struggle to survive without the steady stream of customers. Moreover, the closures raise concerns about the broader health of the retail industry. The traditional supermarket model, once considered a stalwart of the British High Street, is facing unprecedented challenges. The rise of online shopping, changing consumer habits, and a fiercely competitive market have put immense pressure on established players like Morrisons. The closures should serve as a wake-up call for the industry and policy makers alike. A comprehensive approach is needed to address the underlying issues that led to this point. This includes supporting the development of sustainable business models, investing in the skills and training of retail workers, and creating an environment that fosters innovation and adaptability within the sector. The axe has fallen, not on one branch of the Morrisons tree, but on several. Cafes, once filled with the comforting aroma of tea and chatter, now face a desolate future, stripped bare of their warmth and vibrancy. The clatter of knives on chopping boards, the reassuring sight of skilled butchers at work, gone as meat counters fall silent, victims of a brutal efficiency drive. Even the convenience store's beacons of easy access in a fast-paced world haven't been spared, their lights flickering out, leaving a void in the community. This isn't mere trimming, it's a full-blown amputation. Morrisons, in a move as cold as a butcher's blade, is slashing a swathe through its operations, leaving a trail of uncertainty and despair in its wake. The closures are not confined to a single region or demographic. They are a nationwide epidemic spreading through towns and cities, leaving a bitter taste in the mouths of those who relied on these services. These closures are not just about profit margins and balance sheets. They represent a fundamental shift in the relationship between a supermarket giant and the communities it serves. The cafes, the meat counters, the convenience stores, they were more than just points of sale. They were social hubs, places where people connected, shared a moment, and felt a sense of belonging. Their disappearance leaves a gaping hole in the social fabric, a stark reminder of the human cost of corporate decisions. The scope of the closures is a testament to the ruthlessness of the modern market. Nostalgia, loyalty, community spirit, these sentiments hold little sway in the face of cold, hard economics. The message is clear: adapt or perish. But at what cost? And who bears the brunt of this relentless pursuit of efficiency? Hundreds. It's a number that chills the blood, a stark reminder of the human cost of Morrisons' closures. Hundreds of employees, many of whom dedicated years to the company, now face the daunting prospect of unemployment. Their lives, once anchored by the routine of work, by the camaraderie of colleagues, are suddenly cast adrift, tossed about by the choppy waters of uncertainty. These aren't just statistics, they are individuals with families to support, mortgages to pay, dreams to chase. The news of the closures landed like a bombshell, shattering their sense of security, leaving them grappling with anxiety, fear, and a profound sense of betrayal. For many, Morrisons wasn't just a job, it was a lifeline, a source of pride, a place where they felt valued, where they built a life. The grim tally of redundancies is a stark illustration of the human cost of corporate decisions. Behind each number is a story, a life turned upside down. The single mother, now worried sick about how she'll put food on the table. The young apprentice, his dreams of a career in retail dashed against the rocks of economic reality. The older employee, facing the daunting prospect of re-entering the job market after years of loyal service. Their voices, their stories deserve to be heard. Their plight is a stark reminder that behind the cold, hard figures, behind the corporate jargon, lie real people, real lives, forever changed by the decisions made in boardrooms far removed from the shop floor. The human cost of these closures is immeasurable, a wound that will take time, support, and a renewed sense of corporate responsibility to heal. The impact of Morrisons' closures extends far beyond the immediate circle of employees facing redundancy. Communities, particularly in smaller towns and villages where Morrisons often served as a vital hub, are bracing themselves for the ripple effects. The closures are like a stone cast into a pond, the concentric circles of impact spreading outwards, touching businesses, social dynamics, and the very fabric of community life. For many, Morrisons was more than just a supermarket. It was a meeting point, a place to catch up with neighbors, to share a cup of tea and a slice of life. The closure of cafes and the disappearance of familiar faces from behind the counters leave a void, a sense of loss that goes beyond the transactional. It's a blow to the social cohesion of these communities, a fraying of the threads that bind people together. The economic consequences are even more concerning. Local businesses, already grappling with a challenging economic climate, face a double whammy. The loss of footfall as shoppers who once frequented Morrisons disappear will hit them hard. The butcher shop across the street, the bakery next door, the pub around the corner, all reliant on the steady stream of customers a busy Morrisons attracted, now face an uncertain future. The closures have set in motion a domino effect, with each falling tile representing a business struggling to survive, a job lost, a family struggling to make ends meet. The social and economic fabric of these communities is under threat, and the long-term consequences could be devastating. It's a stark reminder that the closure of a supermarket is not just a business decision, it's a community tragedy. Uncertainty hangs heavy in the air, a thick fog obscuring the path ahead for those affected by Morrisons' closures. For employees facing redundancy, the future is a daunting prospect, a landscape shrouded in doubt and anxiety. The familiar routine of work, the comfort of a regular paycheck, the camaraderie of colleagues, all gone, leaving a void that's difficult to fill. The job market, while showing signs of recovery, remains fiercely competitive. Many of those losing their jobs at Morrisons are skilled workers, but the transition to new roles in different sectors will be fraught with challenges. Retraining, acquiring new skills, and adapting to different work environments will take time, effort, and a great deal of resilience. For those nearing retirement age, the closures represent a cruel twist of fate. Forced back into the job market at a time when they should be enjoying the fruits of their labor, they face an uphill battle. Ageism, a lack of suitable opportunities, and the emotional toll of losing a job late in life are just some of the hurdles they must overcome. The uncertainty extends beyond employment prospects. Families are grappling with the financial implications of job losses, worried about how they will make ends meet, pay their bills, and provide for their loved ones. The emotional strain is palpable as the rug of security is pulled from beneath their feet, leaving them feeling vulnerable, anxious, and betrayed. The road ahead is uncertain, and the journey will be long and arduous for those affected by Morrisons' closures. The price of progress efficiency over ethics, Morrisons, like a shopkeeper desperately trying to balance the books, points to the unforgiving realities of the modern market. Efficiency, they argue, is the name of the game. Every square foot of retail space must justify its existence. Every employee must contribute to the bottom line. The closures, however painful, are simply a reflection of this relentless pursuit of profit, a necessary evil in the cutthroat world of supermarket survival. But is this cold, hard logic enough to justify the human cost? Can we, in good conscience, accept efficiency as the sole metric of success, especially when it comes at the expense of livelihoods and communities? The closures raise uncomfortable questions about the role of corporations in society, about the balance between profit and responsibility. Morrisons argues that the closures are essential to streamline operations, to cut costs, and remain competitive. They point to the rise of online shopping, the changing habits of consumers, the need to adapt or die. But these arguments ring hollow for those who find themselves on the receiving end of these efficiency measures, the employees facing redundancy, the communities grappling with the fallout. The closures have exposed a raw nerve, a growing unease about the price of progress. Are we, as a society, content to sacrifice jobs, livelihoods, and the social fabric of our communities on the altar of efficiency? Or is it time to demand more from corporations, to insist that they prioritize people and communities alongside profits? The answer, it seems, will determine not just the future of Morrisons, but the very soul of our economy. The digital dragnet, online shopping's tightening grip, the rise of online shopping, like a relentless tide, has reshaped the retail landscape, leaving traditional brick-and-mortar stores scrambling to stay afloat. Morrisons, despite its best efforts, has found itself caught in the undertow. Its once mighty fleet of stores struggling to navigate the choppy waters of the digital age. The convenience of browsing virtual aisles, the allure of doorstep delivery, the sheer choice and competitive pricing. Online shopping has become an irresistible force, particularly for younger generations who have grown up with a smartphone in hand. This seismic shift in consumer behavior has left traditional supermarkets like Morrisons grappling with a stark reality: adapt or be swept away. The closures, in part, are a reflection of this digital disruption. Cafes, once bustling with shoppers taking a break from their weekly shop, now stand half empty as more and more customers opt for the convenience of online grocery delivery. Meat counters, once a symbol of quality and craftsmanship, struggle to compete with the price and convenience of prepackaged meat ordered online. The digital dragnet is tightening its grip, forcing retailers to rethink their business models, to invest in online platforms, to find new ways to entice customers back into their stores. For Morrisons, the closures are a painful but necessary step in this evolution, a recognition that the future of retail lies in embracing the digital realm. But the question remains, at what cost? And what will become of the communities left behind in this relentless pursuit of online dominance? A change in palate, the shifting sands of consumer demand. The British palate is transforming, with veganism and vegetarianism on the rise. Traditional supermarkets like Morrisons are struggling to keep up. Meat counters face declining demand as plant-based alternatives grow. Morrisons closures reflect a strategic shift towards plant-based and sustainable products. Internal struggles. A house divided against itself. Rumors of inefficiencies and mismanagement plague Morrisons. Critics argue the closures are a knee-jerk reaction to declining profits. Employees feel abandoned and frustrated by a lack of communication. The closures highlight the need for decisive leadership and clear strategy. The high street's heartbeat fades, a community in crisis. Morrisons' closures send shockwaves through already struggling communities. The loss is felt deeply in smaller towns where Morrisons was a lifeline. The closures leave a void in the social fabric, impacting elderly and young families. It's a call to rethink our relationship with high streets and support local businesses. Beyond the balance sheet, the unseen cost of closure. The closures impact individuals and communities in profound ways. Single mothers and elderly residents face new challenges without Morrisons. The psychological and social costs extend far beyond job losses. Recognizing these unseen costs is crucial for community well-being. A ripple effect, supply chains, and the domino effect. Morrisons' closures disrupt a vast network of suppliers and logistics companies. Smaller suppliers and haulage companies face devastating losses. The closures create a domino effect, weakening local economies, highlighting the need for greater economic resilience and diversification. The future of food. A nation on the brink of a food desert, Morrisons' closures threaten to create food deserts in underserved areas. Residents may rely on less healthy, more expensive options. Rural communities face significant challenges accessing healthy food. Government and industry must act to prevent worsening food insecurity. Voices from the frontline tales of loss and uncertainty. Sarah, a single mother, faces an uncertain future after Morrisons' cafe closure. John, a butcher, mourns the loss of his craft and livelihood. These stories highlight the human cost of corporate decisions. Real lives are upended, revealing the system's prioritization of profits over people. The single mother's struggle. A familiar story of hardship, Sarah's story reflects the struggles of single parents nationwide. The cafe's closure strips away income and childcare support. High childcare costs and inadequate social safety nets exacerbate the issue. Sarah's struggle underscores the need for better support for families facing job losses. The closure of Morrisons leaves a gaping hole in the community. For many, Morrisons was a lifeline and social hub. Elderly residents feel isolated and lonely without their weekly trips. Local businesses suffer from reduced footfall. The closure weakens the community's economic and social fabric. Despite the despair and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope has emerged from the ashes of the closures. Employees refusing to accept their fate passively have joined forces with community members to fight for fairness, for a better deal for workers and the communities they serve. Unions, energized by the wave of public support, have organized protests, rallies, and petitions demanding that Morrisons reconsider the closures and engage in meaningful dialogue with workers about alternatives. "We're not just fighting for our jobs," says Mark, a union representative and a former Morrisons employee. "We're fighting for the soul of our communities, for a future where corporate greed doesn't trump the well-being of workers and the social fabric of our society." The fight is far from over, but the outpouring of support from the community has been overwhelming. Local businesses have rallied around the cause, offering discounts to affected employees and displaying messages of solidarity in their windows. Residents have signed petitions, written to their MPs, and organized fundraising events to support those facing hardship. The closures, while undoubtedly a tragedy for those directly affected, have also galvanized the community, reminding people of the importance of solidarity, collective action, and the need to hold corporations accountable for their actions. The fight for fairness has just begun and the outcome remains uncertain. But one thing is clear, the closures have ignited a spark of resistance, a determination to build a more just and equitable society where the pursuit of profit doesn't come at the expense of people and communities. The clatter of closing shutters, the ghostly silence of empty cafes, the vacant stares of those left jobless. Morrisons' closures are more than a business decision. They're a potent symbol of a system that often prioritizes profit over people. The human cost etched on the faces of redundant workers and in the hollowed out hearts of communities can't be ignored. Corporate responsibility isn't just a trendy slogan, it's a moral imperative. When companies like Morrisons make decisions that impact thousands of lives, they have a duty to consider the broader consequences. It's not enough to cite market forces or digital disruption. The true measure of a company's worth lies not just in its balance sheet, but in its commitment to the well-being of its employees and the communities it serves. The closures should serve as a wake-up call, a stark reminder that behind the corporate logos and marketing campaigns are real people with real lives, hopes, and dreams. These people are not just numbers, not just cogs in a machine. They are the backbone of our economy, the heart of our communities. Their contributions deserve to be valued, their livelihoods protected. We've entered an era where blind faith in market forces is no longer an option. The human cost of unchecked capitalism is simply too high. It's time for a new social contract, one that holds corporations accountable for their actions and prioritizes the well-being of people and the planet. The Morrisons saga is just one chapter in a larger story unfolding across the globe. The story of an economic system grappling with fundamental shifts, technological disruption, and a growing awareness of social and environmental injustices. The old ways of doing business are no longer sustainable. We need a new paradigm, one that places people and the planet at the heart of our economic decisions. This new paradigm requires a fundamental rethink of our priorities. It demands that we move beyond a narrow focus on GDP growth and embrace a more holistic measure of progress that takes into account social well-being, environmental sustainability, and the equitable distribution of wealth. It requires that we invest in our communities, support local businesses, and create an economy that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. The future we build will be shaped by the choices we make today. Will we continue down the path of unfettered capitalism, accepting the growing inequalities and social unrest as inevitable byproducts of progress? Or will we choose a different path, one that prioritizes people and the planet, that values cooperation over competition, and that strives to create a more just and equitable future for all? The answer lies not in the boardrooms of multinational corporations, but in the hearts and minds of ordinary people. It lies in our willingness to demand better, to hold our leaders accountable, and to work together to build a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. The time for action is now. The future is ours to create. With the retail landscape shifting, more supermarkets are streamlining operations. Do you think this is the right move for Morrisons? Let's discuss in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.